Hey, welcome to Whose Line Are You On? Where the team's messed up and the points don't matter. Oh, show 194. Welcome back to another episode of the Pucknologists, the only unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, commercial-free Sharks podcast, part of Teal USA. Remember, you can keep us commercial-free using that super chat option during the live shows. Better yet, hit us up on Venmo at Teal USA. And if you're new to the cast, hit that like or subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Leave your take in the comments section if you could not join us live. And if you're audio only on your favorite podcast app, make sure to subscribe. And if you're down with the 24/7 Sharks talk that will sometimes go to 3 a.m. like it did last night, hit up the jerk man at hockey_jerk on the Tweety to secure your Discord invite. And remember, this season, every episode of the Pucknologists, we're giving away prizes, so pay attention, kids. Oh, let's go. I think you owe me some money.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. Many people.
Many people are saying it.
So this has nothing to do, absolutely zero to do with anything that you just said, except for what you said right at the beginning. But you said whose line are you on anyway, and how the points don't matter.
No, the team's messed up. The points don't matter.
Correct. Would you believe me if I told you that the person on this team who is second in points is currently in the AHL?
What a shock. All right. What's up, everybody? Woo! Sharks played 3 this week. Went 0-3-0 to the surprise of absolutely no one. Although I will say, dude, everybody that mentioned when they looked at the October schedule, they said, the first time in history a team has started their season with 4 straight against the previous season division winners, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody was eyeballing the Nashville game. Like, okay, well, that's the one. That's the one that they could potentially pull that out. What ended up happening ended up being their worst loss of the season goal-wise.
See, and I thought Nashville was going to be the one they would pull it out in, just because the Predators are like extremely fraudulent as a team. So I consider myself to be a bit of an aficionado when it comes to, knowing rosters and player tracking and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the guys who were getting it done for Nashville in the game on Saturday, I was like, that guy's on the team. That guy made it.
Darren Helm is still in the NHL.
Not to be a real, post-game live analysis about this, but the Predators are a fraudulent team. The fact that the Sharks lost, I think, is surprising, and I will defend that forever.
Fuck, dude. Even David in the chat. All right. Has any team gone winless over an entire season?
Well, I don't know if you remember, AJ, you might know this. There is a team that in an 84 regular season, which doesn't happen anymore.
Sure.
But there was a team that out of 84 games, they only won 11 games. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're called this team.
Yeah. Well, in the
kind of feels like we're on that track.
Well, I was going to say, to be fair, the 93-94 team, if memory serves, started off 0-8-1.
Hey, you know what? There's a lot of dialogue about wanting to be memorable, and having the worst record in franchise history is a way to be memorable.
Sure. It could happen. Burge saying if they lose against the Caps, dude, if they lose against the Caps, I don't know when they're going to get their first win.
I agree with Burge because the Capitals are even more fraudulent than the Predators are.
I don't know.
So,
jeez. New barn, same result. Whatever. This week, I mean, I don't want to fall into our old habit of going game by game, but good God, man. It was just how many different ways were they going to lose?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really kind of exceptional way to put it, because every loss this week, and in case you weren't paying attention, there were 3 of them. Every loss this week felt different. No?
Oh yeah. I mean, 6-3 versus Carolina. It's like, oh my God, they scored 2 out of 6 on the power play, and you're going, hell yeah. And then, but they also gave up 3 power play goals and gave up a shorty.
Well, so I'll do you one better. So,
dude, let's be honest. The most entertaining part of the Carolina game was D'Angelo getting drilled by the official.
Well, deep state establishment strikes again, right? No, so I'll do you one better on this one. So when I got to my hockey game on Tuesday night,
sure.
And this was what time did my game start on Tuesday? I got to the arena, I think at 9-ish, 9:10 maybe. And the Sharks were up 3-2. And I'm like, okay, there's still a lot of time left. And this is the Carolina Hurricanes, but good kind of activity going on here. Sharks are hanging in there against a good team like they did against Colorado. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's something here. Go play my game, do the whole thing, right? I come back, I look at my phone, and I see that not only were 4 more goals scored in this game, none of them belonged to the Sharks.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very much like, that meme, right? Or the GIF where it's like the guy walks in, it's like, what happened here?
Well, the other thing is that after this one, Quinn called the team too soft, too slow. Penalties took the life out of us. We're just not good enough. And it's like, yeah.
Remember 2.5 weeks ago when it was like, we're going to shock some people. and to be technical, I think by starting the season 0-4-1, I think they are shocking people. Myself included.
Shockingly bad.
I made a whole dialogue a week ago about how the law of averages says you're going to get at least 1 win. And not even the law of averages want to touch this team.
No. They're like, no, we good. You can stay with Murphy's Law. Dude,
keep it.
Keep it. Yeah, dude. Maybe it's just me. I feel like the Sharks, for whatever reason, they're still paying for the Meier hand pass. The hockey gods won't let it go, dude.
Well, depending on who you ask, there's 1,000,001 things that they're still paying for.
Oh, sure. But, I mean, calling the team soft, too slow, or whatever, you can only go to that quiver so many times if you're Quinn. You know what I mean?
And to go to it so early, right?
Yeah.
Like it's at the Carolina game was game 3.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
And you're already like throwing grenades into the media.
Well, and you mentioned it earlier, the whole thing of 2 weeks ago. It's, we're going to shock the world.
Again, I still contend that on some level they have shocked us.
Oh my God!
Well, for the wrong reason, but
the one thing I want to just dip in here on this was Ferraro post game. Just you got to hear this. This is great.
Yeah, it sucks. It's tough. It's a pretty brutal feeling. Back-to-back games, against, 3 really good teams that we played so far. And despite, maybe not the shots and the chances weren't quite where we wanted it to be, we're right there. So to let this one slip, it stings, but it's early in the season. It's things that we can learn from as a group.
Well, I'm sorry, we're right there. So, yeah, if you take away the other team out shooting us and outscoring us, then yeah, we're right there.
See, the thing is, actually, I'm kind of going to take a different approach. I think, look at the Colorado game, what happened there. Yes, admittedly, the Sharks fumbled that one, but Sharks commanded that game the whole time. And then in this Carolina game, I don't want to say they had it in the bag, but they hung in there. So when you look at that 2-game segment, you can find encouraging things. And then you hear what Mario Ferraro says and says, okay, all right, maybe we always talk about you're building the foundation and then you're kind of taking that logical next step. But then you watch what happened against Boston and against Nashville, where it was just absolutely terrible. And it's like, okay, so the whatever you want to call it, the advice or the idea that Mario Ferraro put out there in the media, that just did it just come out of your mouth and then it was boom, gone as soon as you left? I don't know. I think, I have no problem with losing as long as there's effort.
Oh, and of course.
There were so many stretches where I didn't think we got that.
Yeah, there was effort. It just wasn't for 60 minutes a lot of the time, which
Correct.
Quinn even said. But Let me ask, or I don't want to say ask you this, but say the headline, dude. It's the Sharks have a Meier, Burns, and Carlson size hole in this team. There's only 3 players that can fill it.
I wonder who it is.
Yeah. And then
couldn't be one of them.
David said, "Who thought it was a good idea to get rid of Meier, Burns, and Carlson?" I mean, dude, that's what you have to go through a rebuild.
I don't know, but AJ, if you recall my pinned tweet, it's almost like somebody could have warned against this. I don't know. I don't remember that part.
Oh man, so
it's been 10 minutes, and I feel like we're already snapping around the spice here, and I'm quite enjoying it.
Oh, it's just so much spice.
It's a lot to unpack.
Oh, so much. Now, I will say, because we talked about it on the last show, that I said Blackwood deserved the start in that first game after
Correct.
51 against Colorado. And then, and you mentioned it earlier, Chief looked solid early on, but then that third period was just a fucking tire fire.
Yeah, and to let in 4 goals in the third period, 2 of them on the power play. It just, I mean, it's easy to say, like, point at the goalie and say, hey, what happened there? But I feel like it was just a total team collapse,
Yeah.
you know?
And the second straight game where the Sharks couldn't hold a lead, which
Exactly.
that was something that we lamented all season long last year.
Well, and we lamented how exceptional their penalty kill was, too.
Yeah, which is, dude, falling off the rails a little bit so far.
A little bit.
Just a scotch. And then so you move on to the next game against Boston. Now, the one thing you got to say is, dude, when Boston came in, they hadn't played since Saturday. They had a significant amount of time off. You're like, oh, fuck, they're coming in fresh. You knew Kakinen was coming in after Blackwood got hung out to dry. But the best part of the day, let's be honest, was the half hour that we all thought that Kevin Labanc got waived.
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement when that came out. Rightly or wrongly, there was a lot.
Dude, I still did Sarah Valley get catfished? Is that what it was? Do you think he just somebody gave him a spicy meatball and he ran with it without any confirmation? I mean,
I don't want to speculate on someone's speculation, but I think there's some truth somewhere. Like it would not surprise me if whoever his source is, it would not surprise me if they went to him and say, hey, the Sharks are waiving a big money guy on Monday or Tuesday or whatever day it was, and Wednesday maybe.
Oh, and you think they went for the assumption of Labanc instead of Schmidt?
Yeah, right. And I feel like, again, like and we're just speculating here, but if somebody came to me and said, hey, the Sharks are waiving a big money guy who hasn't done a lot lately, I kind of feel like
Labanc has a target.
Right. I was going to say natural progression would bring you there, but I don't know.
And
makes you think.
And the thing about the Boston game, I mean, and to give you my best Brody Brazil impression, if you take away a debatable goalie interference goal and a fluke goal from Pasta, the Sharks are in this.
Well, yeah, if you just,
if you take away all the opposition, if you take away all their goals, the Sharks win.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you knew this or not, but if you simply just score more than the other team, you wouldn't lose.
See, now I've heard
many
about this.
People are saying.
I've heard this. I cannot confirm nor deny.
Yeah, many people are saying.
Yeah,
couldn't be us.
But Kakinen finished that one with a 917. He stopped 33 of 36, but in 4 games up to that point, and then, of course, the 5th one later in the week, though, they've scored more. They've only scored more than a goal once in 5 games. Like, you can't sit there and go, well, if the Sharks were getting better goaltending.
Right.
I mean, you can look at the numbers on the scroll. Like, they're not great, but... dude, they're certainly better than what Reimer and Kakinen were giving you last year.
Well, I was gonna say, like, their goaltending is, I don't know that I want to say their goaltending is good enough to win games, but their goaltending is certainly good enough to not get pumped 6-3 and 5-1.
Hell yeah! Oh, Skyler in the super chat. Well, this does go into the Discord chat from last night. Maybe the Sharks. Holes in the lineup can be filled by the Houston Oilers, soon to be Edmonton Oilers, with QB Packy Maniau. So you had to be there for last night's Discord, dude. So we were having a little discussion about relocation, and somebody was like, Well, yeah. Don't you remember when the Houston Oilers moved to Edmonton? And I was like, what?
That's that's not quite what that.
That's not how that happened.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah, not even close. The other thing about the Boston game, though, that was a mind fuck is that through 2 periods, the Sharks had 16 shots on goal, and Ferraro had 5 of them.
Yeah, I was really kind of on tilt about that because, I was talking with, Brian. We were talking about some gambling protocols, and I was like, and I had said to him, I was like, one of these, all of these Sharks defensemen are terrible, but like one of them's got to put it on the net, right? Maybe Ferraro, maybe Benning, and I was like, okay, and I wasn't sure, so I'm like, you know what, I'm not even going to touch it. And then I look, like going into the first intermission, I think he had 4 of those shots, and I was just like,
he leads the team in time on ice.
Right, like a broken clock is truly right twice a day,
dude. Ricky calling out Duclair. What do you say about this? Saying, how long does it have to go on before the broadcast narrative about Duclair being beyond amazing goes away? He's been mediocre at best.
So,
dude, I got to tell you a little bit. I feel like he's been a scotch of a Gregor. Like he's got amazing wheels, but he just hasn't had the finish yet.
Well, see, here's kind of the thing, right? And this goes back to my adage of 2 things can be true.
Sure.
You can be among a group of people, in this case, the San Jose Sharks Hockey Club, among a group of people, you can be the best, but against the entire sample size being the NHL, you can not be playing well. And so I think it's both. I do think, well, Hockey Jerk would send the Discord when he's not trying to focus on the podcast, Ramon Garcia.
Oh, by the way, we do have 2 prize winners from last week, so we'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, that's your spicy little teaser to stick around. The thing is, like, I think it's both. Like, I think Duclair has been the best Shark, or at the very least one of the best Sharks so far this season. But that doesn't objectively mean that he's been good. It just means he's been the best among this group.
Yeah, he's been the best of the worst.
Yeah, right. And so I don't like, normally I'm kind of feel like the talking heads kind of blow a lot of smoke to keep eyes on the TV. But that's one of the few things where I'm like, yeah, he's clearly among those trying to do the most to make something happen. So, whatever.
Then you move on to the Nashville game, which was really weird, dude. It's like all of a sudden I don't remember the last time Quinn has ever rolled 7D. Was that the first time?
I mean, first time to memory. So yeah, it might have been, if not the first time, one of the first times.
Yeah, at least, obviously with the Sharks, but
right.
Rolling 7D, scratching Bordeleau, then in the game he benches Vlasic. Whew.
Yeah, it's just I do that is kind of like when I saw that Bordeleau was benched, my immediate thought was, when did we bring Bob Boughner back? Because you remember game 1, right? The rebuild is over, and we're moving forward, and Thomas Bordeleau is part of that, right? And I just don't understand. Like, okay, if you want to pull up the tape and you say, well, you know what, Thomas Bordeleau did X, Y, and Z wrong. Okay, I think that's a fair conversation to have. But from a coaching perspective, I don't understand the idea of pulling out a guy who is part of your future, has played well in the amount of games he's played, and, is in a situation like, you kind of just have to work things out. You know what I mean? Especially when you're that young and you're going to be relied on. You should be afforded the time to work those kinds of things out. Like, I don't have a problem scratching Bordeleau if there's a good reason for it, but I don't think that there is when guys like Mike Hoffman have stayed in the lineup, when guys like Luke Cunnin have stayed in the lineup. You know what I mean? And
and let's be honest as well, dude. Since game 1, it's put everybody's numbers in a hat.
Right, which I totally understand that, but I'll be totally honest with you. It makes zero sense to me to say, hey, this guy who's part of our future, and we need to let him work through the difficulty so that he can kind of fulfill that prophecy, scratch him. But Mike Hoffman, who's not going to be in here in a year. I mean, I guess unless you want to boost Hoffman's value, I guess that's fine, but he's not been very good. Like, you want to talk about a guy who's not been good, Hoffman. And Luke Cunnin, like, I know I tried to sing his praises last week, but he was terrible this week. Like,
Dude, you literally lost money on the guy.
I know. And it's like, I am just, again, it goes back to the conversation that you and I have had a million times where, if a guy not doing a lot is okay if he's not being expected to do a lot. And the argument that we used to make that was Nico Sturm. Or Nico Sturm and Steven Lorentz last year as well. And guys like that, Svechnikov as well, you brought up, where it's like, okay, yeah, you're not doing a lot, but you're doing what we ask of you. And I feel like the what you're doing versus what we need ratio is extremely lopsided when it comes to Luke Cunnin.
Oh, yeah. You want to answer David's question here that says, why do people think Bordeleau and Eklund are the future of the Sharks?
David, I would ask if you've watched a Sharks game in the last 3 years. And I don't mean that to be a dick, despite what it might sound like, but like young, good players generally help teams get better. Just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
at one point, Tomas Hertl was 19 years old.
That's what I'm saying. Calling those guys the future doesn't mean that they're the only ones who are going to do things.
Well, and the thing is that
you still have to outfit an entire team.
And when Hertl came in, there was Couture, Thornton, Pavelski, Marleau. There was a shit ton more talent on the team than there is right now.
Totally.
So I think you got to give those guys a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, like you were saying, maybe let them work through some shit. But this Nashville game that many people were saying was going to be the game that the Sharks could finally put one in the W column. Dude, 5-1 loss. The first 4 goals all came within 3 minutes of the start or end of a period. Like, they just can't have a full period. How many times have they given up 2 quickies? Like game 1 against Vegas, there was a couple of quickies. This game against Nashville got like 2 goals within 12 seconds.
Right.
Like, after you get that first goal, shouldn't that be like a wake up call? Okay, let's get our shit together. And then 12 seconds later,
yeah, exactly.
Fuck. And they've been outshot in every game. It's I can't. So, I mean, look, to the surprise of no one affiliated with this podcast, the Sharks are the last remaining winless team.
What?
Despite the efforts of the Washington Capitals, I might add.
No kidding, dude.
Dude. But for me, it's this team just doesn't have talent. And in fact, the post game, I want to say it was the game against Nashville. Sturm said, he's like, effort is there. Like, guys are trying, which, like we were saying, it's like, I mean, I see some effort. Does it need to be more consistent? Sure. But it still just comes back to the whole thing of this team just doesn't have the talent. Like, I can get on the track with Usain Bolt. I can have all the effort in the world for 100 yards. I'm not as athletically gifted. I can put out 2,000 times more effort, but you still have to have the talent and the athletic ability.
Yeah. I mean, effort is great. Like, I would definitely rather have effort than no effort. But again, like, there's only so many times that you can point to the moral victory before it gets kind of ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the Sharks, they're also giving up an insane amount of shots on goal. And even Hertl called it out after the game against Nashville, where it's like, we're just letting guys run our fucking goalies, get all up in their grill, and we're not doing anything about it. Hertl seemed pissed in the postgame.
Can you blame him?
Not at all.
I mean, with Couture out, he's the de facto leader of the team.
Absolutely.
And they're playing absolutely terrible under his watch.
And I like seeing that from Hertl versus the clip that I played earlier from Ferraro after Carolina. So, oh, well, if this doesn't happen, we're right there. No, the fuck you are. Give me a break. It's yeah. I mean, goaltending is not the problem. It's 4 goals in 4 games.
Right.
And then and the great part is over 5 games, the Sharks defense, the blue line, obviously Carlson's gone and he's point per game, if not better, player. Right now, the Sharks defense has posted 5 points in 5 games. 2 of them came from Henry Thrun, who was down with the CUDA.
Right.
Where and how is this team going to manufacture goals? You have to lock down the D. You have to contest the blue line. We talked about going back to 20, 25 years ago. Dude, bring back the cycle. Let's go look at some tape of Scott Thornton, Nick Sundstrom, and Mike Ricci. Wait for the other team to make a mistake. Dude, Stefan Nason has more points than any current Shark right now.
Well, and to the point that Kevin made in the chat specifically about Anthony Duclair, he thrives when, he has the puck in the slot, which requires offensive zone pressure. And
what's that?
Right. And how many times did we see, especially last night, where it's like, okay, sure, the Sharks get into the zone and it's a lot of one and done. There's no pressure. There's no cycle. There's no opportunities. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you can look at the stats and you can say, hey, you know what? The Sharks, specifically against Boston and against Nashville, the Sharks were within 10 of both of those teams in shots on goal. But, if it's not a high quality, like, and anybody who's an aficionado of gambling, knows this. If you have the puck at center ice and you float it and it hits the goalie, that's a shot.
Yeah.
But how close were you to scoring? Nowhere close.
Well, and after 5 games, dude, shots allowed 196, shots for 119.
Right.
That's I would
just
call
not
that
getting chances.
Yeah, I would call that discrepancy. What's the word? Oh, huge. And then we talk about Thrun. He gets a point in game 1, scratched in the next game, gets a point in game 3, and then gets sent down. And I'm going...
Same thing as Bordeleau. Like, let him work it out,
Yeah. Now, I understand. Like, Thrun, he'll be able to play in all situations, get way more time on ice with the Barracuda.
But then here's...
Dude, playing with the Sharks, if Thrun's getting 20 minutes with the CUDA, and right now Ferraro's getting like 20 and a half with the Sharks, I'm going, maybe rethink that.
Well, and here's the thing, like, how much did we talk about last year? I think you asked the question probably once a month, is when do Eklund and Bordeleau join the team? And every time I said the same thing. I said, when it's the forwards who are going to be on their way out towards the end of the year are gone. When there's room for them, they will take it. And that has happened. With Henry Thrun, to your point of playing in all situations in the Barracuda, absolutely a totally valid point. And I think long-term, I think it will be good for him. But when you have a guy that's already shown he can play in the NHL, he should be there. And number 2, you look at the Sharks' defensive situation, they have 8 guys who are healthy, right? Jacob McDonald is hurt, and they sent Radim Šimić down. So you have 8 guys who are healthy and in the regular rotation, theoretically. All of them have beyond this year under team control, whether it's another year on their contract or whether they're a restricted free agent. Mm-hmm. So when the hell is Henry Thrun supposed to jump into the NHL? Because I'm seeing, as much as I think, the revision on Mike Greer's tenure as GM has actually proven really positive for him, I do question once again signing these replacement level players to multi-year deals. Like, if you want to play the prospects and integrate them into the system, just do it. If you lose with Thrun as your number 1 defenseman versus Vlasic as your number 1 defenseman, who gives a shit?
Well, here's the point. It's like the points from the blue line. You have an assist from Knizhov, an assist from Ferraro, an assist from Benning, and then 2 from Thrun.
Yeah, and as I said at the top, Thrun is the second on the team in points.
Yeah, right? And the other thing, Ferraro leading the team in time on ice. He's also up there with the -5. Not that plus minus means anything, any way, shape, or form. but
on its own, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but
when you compare it,
yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit last night on the Discord. It's that Ferraro is a 3-4 at best, being thrust into a 1.
Yeah, totally.
Because the options, the alternate options are that bad.
And I'll make the same point that I made a week ago, right? Talking about plus minus and how it doesn't matter. When you compare it to certain things, it can matter. And I made the argument a week ago of, Ferraro and Ruta have vastly different plus minuses, yet their ice time is, within a minute or so of each other. That's still true.
You're right.
Also, to that counterpoint, what if I told you that there were 3 players on the Sharks who are not minus?
Bullshit.
It's the 2 goalies and Granlund, who's been injured since game 1.
Okay, I wasn't thinking of the goalies. The only one in my head, I'm going, okay, Granlund, sure, but okay.
That kind of shows you where things are.
Dude, that was a sneaky little play you dropped in there.
Yeah.
I like that. So again, the other thing I just want to point out, which I thought was so funny, was Sarah Valley 922. Sources say Sharks will be placing forward Kevin Labanc on waivers today. Labanc has been a healthy scratch for all 3 of San Jose's games to start the year. He's in the final year of his deal at $4.725 million and has averaged a half a point per game over 332 games. 40 minutes later, after informing Labanc's camp that he will be placed on waivers today, the Sharks have reversed course, and Labanc is now expected to make his season debut. The reason why I say I think Sarah Valley got catfished or trolled or whatever you want to say is the fact that he's going, the Sharks reversed course after notifying their camp, and I'm going, dude, Quinn said the day before after practice that Labanc was going to be playing.
Well, not only that, but, let me ask you a question, and I'm sure I know the answer, but I'll ask for the story. So have you either done yourself or observed someone else doing, when you make a mistake, and then you're so rattled when you're trying to correct it, then you then make another mistake?
I
throw that tweet back up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a time that happened to me. I'm not sure, but
I can tell you from my own personal experience that I can't tell you how many times I've messed something up and then I'm so rattled trying to correct it that I mess something else up. I think it's a very normal thing to happen. But here's what I'm pointing out right here, specifically in the second tweet. After informing Labanc's camp that he'll be placed on waivers today, everything that we heard, both publicly and privately, Labanc was never told. So you throw out this tweet after the fact to try and clean up your mess, but in doing so, you throw something else out there that's also not true.
Yeah, and I think it should also be noted. Sarah Valley, a bigger name, of course, but this is a guy who also posted, I think, over towards the end of last season or right after the regular season ended, within a couple weeks, he posted some shit that said, Gibson has said he will never play another game for Anaheim.
Well, and that's the thing. He definitely has a history of breaking stories first and breaking them in depth. I will 100% give him his flowers for that. But there have been multiple examples.
Yeah, he's gotten caught with his pants down a few times.
At least 3 examples where, this one, obviously, the one you mentioned about Gibson, and I know there was one more. It might have been around the bubble where something was reported and then it ended up not being true. And again, I don't like the idea of completely carving someone who's trying to do their job, but I've never, to my knowledge, I don't know that I've ever seen a report proven wrong and the initial breaker, so to speak, refuses to say, oh yeah, I fucked that one up. I feel like I've noticed with Sarah Valley ever since he's gone to Daily Faceoff, anytime he gets bad, something reported wrong, it's oh, well, after these other things that have nothing to do with me happen. I don't know. Again, I
he
don't
says something 5 minutes later. He's like, you know what
right.
I meant.
And again, I don't want to carve the guy, because I genuinely do think that he's a good guy and he has good information. It's just, a couple kind of goofy things have happened. That's all.
Yeah, and the whole thing is like it's you can respect. I can respect the screw up if you kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, if you come out and you say, hey, I got some bad info on that, my bad.
Yeah. Own it, say my mistake or whatever, instead of sitting there going, oh, well, the Sharks walked it back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think they did. Like, who was, sources are saying, I'm like, what's your source? Trust me, bro?
Yeah. Many people.
Yeah. Many people. So, like we said, the one person who was put on waivers, of course, was Shimmick for CUDA assignment, and then Nikita, again, I'm never going to get his last name right, so I'm not going to try, but assigned to the Barracuda on a conditioning loan. Right now, no timeline for Granlund or Couture, but Granlund is, in fact, on the 5-game road trip that the Sharks are currently on, but Couture is still at home. Boy, do you think he makes it back before the... God, what is it? So they come back after the 5-game, then they play 4 at home. You think maybe he's able to come back somewhere in there?
I think the fact that the Sharks rolled with 7 defensemen yesterday, I think that kind of says that they're dying for him to come back. And so I think he'll probably come back as soon as he can.
Do you think the Sharks lose every game until Couture returns?
Oh, man.
Dude, I'd be walking around that. But if they lose,
the law of averages says no, but
but if they lose every game and then Couture comes back and they win that game, dude, I'm acting like I got the biggest cock in the room. And it was like, all me, baby. It's like Ian, dude, all Ian, baby. Oh, we'll see what happens. Let's go to heroes and zeros, man. Who's your hero for the week?
Oh, man, you're really going to make me go first?
Dude, I got to. And I'm scrambling for the fucking fences right now, trying to procure a name. I can't.
So, and I'll...
I don't know, Couture for not having to play?
I want to preface this by saying that the bar is very low.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, my hero for the week is Ryan Carpenter.
Yeah, he's played well.
He leads the CUDA right now in points, and I think he might. Let me dive right into the numbers. Yes, right now Ryan Carpenter more points than any current Shark.
Makes you think.
Yeah. So go ahead. Or are you going to go completely off the board like Ryan here and saying, you know what, there is no hero this week?
That's again, there have been worse takes for sure. I do feel a sense of obligation to, to give this person their flowers. My hero, bar is very low, as I said, Kevin Labanc. I mean, you think about all the circumstances. Allegedly told he was going on waivers.
And Chief had jumped, dude.
Yeah, and then allegedly it was walked back, and then, there's just a lot of like kind of nonsense surrounding him this week. And the 2 games that he played against Boston and against the Nashville Predators, I thought he played really well. I mean, he had 3 shots on goal yesterday, 2 shots on goal against the Boston Bruins, like, leading the, in the top 3 for forwards both nights in shots on goal. And as we always said, like, if you don't shoot, you're not going to score. And I feel like you said, he had some real gumption added to his game. You know what I mean? And encouraging to see for a guy that I feel like he's been, out the door for like the last 2 seasons. And, so you just hope that he kind of puts it together right around the time the Sharks want to pull the trigger on trading him.
Hell yeah. My hero for the week is Hurdle. And he got his first goal of the season. He's owned, and this is the thing that I don't think a lot of people are actually talking about, is he's owned the dot since game 1. Doesn't matter if defensive zone, neutral zone, offensive zone, he's been super fucking money, especially in key situations. He's winning faceoffs. And again, like you said, de facto captain with Couture out and calling out like, dude, we're hanging out Blackwood to fucking dry. We're allowing teams to just come in and have their way. That can't happen. So good on Hurdle for, because remember, this was fucking Mr. Fun Must Be Always. And now it's turned into I'm pissed the fuck off.
Well, do you remember right around the time that Hurdle started playing center on a regular basis, and when they tried him out a couple times, do you remember the whole dialogue of Hurdle can't be a center because he sucks at faceoffs? And now here we are almost 10 years later. He's been the best guy on the team in terms of faceoffs the last 4 years.
Yeah. But and it hasn't been by a little.
Right.
All right, 0. Yeah, 0 for the week. I have 2.
The whole team? Is that fair to say?
Well, you seem to want to carve Hoffman a little bit earlier. Do you want to go with him or?
Yeah, actually, that's a good shout. Again, everybody is playing bad, so again, the bar is kind of low, or in this case, high, depending on how you look at it. But I've never understood whenever Mike Hoffman in his career has gone through a slump, right? Which happened a little bit when he was with Montreal. Anytime he's gone through a slump, I've never understood it, because he's a good skater, he's a very good shooter, very good passer. He's somebody who, if he's not scoring, at the very least he's always kind of sniffing around the offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like this season, and maybe it's a product of the line that he's been on and who he's been playing with, right? But I just feel like, he hasn't really done a whole lot to kind of wow me. And, he was with, Peterson and Zetterlund for the most part yesterday, so that might have something to do with it. But I was just, for somebody who offense kind of seems to follow him around, I was expecting a lot more, at least through 5 games.
Yeah, I would agree. And maybe it's going to take him a little time to, figure it out. My 0 for the week.
He's got 1 year left on the contract, so it better happen quickly.
My 0 for the week, we talked about it earlier. I actually have 2, but team-wise, Ferraro, loves me some Mario.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had him last week.
I mean, he just, some of the decisions that he's made, he's also had some bad luck. I believe there was a goal earlier this week that he was parked in front, trying to keep the crease clear, and a puck, it was Pesci, goes right off of Ferraro's skate. And,
right.
And it's kind of like, well, right behind Blackwood, what are you going to do? But he's also taken a couple bad penalties, just, But my other 0 for the week, dude, the Sharks fans bitching on social media. It's like the fans, this team needs a rebuild. Then the Sharks start rebuilding. Then the fans go, this team sucks. I'm not paying to watch this.
Well, I don't know. You didn't hear that the rebuild was over? They said that on the broadcast.
Yeah, give me a fuck. Yeah, it's no longer a rebuild. It's a build. Come on. Or the fans going, I hope the Sharks tank this season so they can get that top draft pick. And then the Sharks start 0-4-1. And then the fans go, I can't believe the tank is so empty.
Well, and that's
fucking pick a lane.
Well, and that's why, we said, I think we've been saying it for the last 3 seasons, right? It's okay, you're going to lose more than you win. Just be interesting. Be exciting. Show us the foundation you're building.
Yeah, and it's been pretty fucking thin through 5 games.
Right. And when you're doing things like healthy scratching one of the forwards you expect to be part of your future and sending one of the defensemen you expect to be part of your future to the AHL, you're not being exciting. You're not being interesting. It doesn't even really feel like you're building anything. It's just kind of don't get me wrong. We've seen so many teams rebuild effectively by getting a high draft pick, top 1, top 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you still need to add guys beyond that and get guys acclimated beyond that. And so, the people want to see Bordeleau and Eklund and Thrun. They want to see these guys in the NHL. You know what I mean?
Well,
And if the Sharks are going to be terrible anyway, you might as well just give it to them.
well, I don't know if it was the last show before, whatever. I do remember us batting it around where it's just a case of like, look at cap friendly. It seems pretty clear that right now it's go along to get along. It's we're putting a Band-Aid on a mortal wound right now. Look at all the goddamn contracts. They're all 2 years or less. And it's kind of we're gonna try to get through these next 2 seasons, and we get Musty, we get Smith. Maybe there's a couple other pieces that are ready to come in, whether it's what's the guy's name? Haltunen?
Haltunen, yeah.
Yeah, Haltunen, Beasted. I mean, there are pieces. Maybe the Nikita is ready to make a jump. I mean, Brandon Coe has actually looked pretty good so far for the CUDA. He's been one of the few, bright spots for that team.
Right.
But I just look at cap friendly and I'm going, if you read between the lines, it seems like the Sharks, Greer has the plan. Does it also coincide with Vlasic being gone? Yeah. Definitely kind of in line with a couple key contracts being off the books.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That being said, do you think Vlasic the only reason why I bring this up is because obviously Vlasic, he had his ass stapled to the bench last game. He's this year and then 2 more after this, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. It makes me wonder, just because the Balsers buyout, despite the fact that it was only like what, $300K. So the Balsers buyout comes off the books after this season. The Jones buyout goes from 2.9 to 1.6. Do you think Vlasic is like the candidate that they might sit there and go, all right, it's time to buy out Vlasic?
Well,
or do you think that they ride out this, that we're going to suck again next season? So why keep Vlasic on the books longer than we need to? Let's just, keep his ass around. He can be the 7th defenseman, and we're just going to have to bury this contract and, live it out.
We've debated ad nauseum, like, when is the perfect time to buy out Vlasic, and I think everybody is kind of in agreement that it's this coming summer that is the perfect time to buy him out. But that said, you're completely right when you say that the Sharks are going to suck again next year. So it doesn't make sense to clear Vlasic out unless you're trying to make room for somebody else. And given what we've seen this year already, it doesn't appear as though the Sharks really care all that much about making room for guys. So I think you just ride it out and you deal with it. And especially because you brought up, the Balsers contract, the Balsers buyout going away, the Martin Jones buyout penalty shrinking, that's
by half.
Just about half. Yeah. That's 1.9 million in savings right there. The salary cap is going to go up like 4.25 million.
And you're going to save 4.7 when Labanc's gone.
Right. So all of the sudden, between buyout penalty shrinking, between the salary cap going up, between overpriced forwards getting cleared out, all of the sudden, just that cap space that's going to come just through like the natural order of things is going to absorb pretty much all of how much Vlasic costs against the cap. So with that in mind, it really makes no sense to me to get rid of Vlasic unless you're trying to put someone in his minutes.
Excellent point. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. So a few notables, just some shit that I noticed that I just get a kick out of. Not everything is for everybody here. We get that. But, and that's kind of towards you.
Sure.
But dude, I noticed, I guess I wasn't paying attention early on. Like you have, I don't want to say poisoned me, but perhaps influenced is the better word.
Sure.
But it's getting to the point where I'm having difficulty watching the pregame show Because it's like,
Dude.
what are they going to tell me that I don't already know? Now, granted, I pay more attention than the average fan, of course, because we have the podcast and everything like that. So maybe it's that I don't need to watch it to learn certain things. And then, the intermissions are largely rehashes. They reuse content that they used in the pregame show, anything that's pre-recorded. Anyway, the one thing
you talked about last week, you talked about Bedard overload.
Ugh, still happening.
It was the game against Vegas. The second intermission talked about Bedard, and I'm like, why don't we talk about the game that's happening?
Dude,
that's just
during the Nashville game, dude. They brought up Game 7. I'm like, really?
I know. I heard it. As soon I could, like, you could just hear it. You could hear it in the timbre of Randy Hahn's voice.
As soon as they were talking about Labanc, dude, I'm like, here it comes.
He said he was talking. As soon as he said Gus Nyquist. he was like Gus Nyquist, and then he threw out some added adjective there. I don't remember what it was, maybe famously or something to that effect. As soon as he said Gus Nyquist, I'm like, this motherfucker is gonna say it. Well, and guess what? Somebody said Game 7.
Right. Well, and they've what have the previous mottos been? It's been like Teal together. What have some of the other,
This is Sharks territory.
Yeah, this is Sharks territory, that type of shit. Well, the new ad campaign, I hadn't really paid attention to the commercial. Like, as soon as I see the commercial, I'm like, okay, I got to take a leak. I got to, go grab a drink, something. Like, I'll be back. And then I finally, paid attention to the ad, and I noticed at the end, it's like, it's time to return to the tank. And I'm like, is it? But just the fact that they're running an ad like it's time to return to the tank, I'm like, is that not like you admitting that we got a lot of empty seats in this fucking place? It's time for you people to come back.
Well, I'm just waiting, I'm waiting for somebody to come out and be like, well, yeah, COVID,
that's
what I mean? Despite the fact that, it's been a long time that COVID has not been a major issue, because again, there's no I understand, it's not sort of standard operating procedure to crap all over your product. But it would be nice to hear somebody say, hey, we've been brutal the last couple of years, and we don't like how that makes our fans feel. We want to fix that. Instead of just being like, oh, well, COVID made us not re-sign Joe Pavelski. And it's like, alrighty, come on.
I don't know. I just using the motto, it's time to return the tank. I was kind of like,
yeah, you're admitting that no one is there.
Yeah. I'm like,
and you're admitting that there's some reason why there's nobody is there, but you're kind of beating around the bush. It's time to return to the tank, as if people weren't allowed to go. It's like, no, people are allowed to go. They're just choosing not to.
Oh, dude. And I like Lacey. He's like, oh, I thought that meant tank for the first pick.
That's a good point.
Yeah, dude. It's time to return to the tank. In other words, it's time to come back to the idea of tanking the season.
That is a 4-dimensional chess shout by Kevin.
Dude, that's a hat to, I think we need to give, at the very least, he gets a half a hashtag foreseen on that one.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Well, and dude, there were $12 seats available at the start of the Carolina game. And when you saw, I don't know if you were watching that Carolina game, dude, literally rows of empty seats in the lower bowl.
Mm-hmm.
4th, 5th, 6th row. Fucking rows. That is just not a good look. And dude, when I was watching that game, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna win the bet with Jerk that they're gonna hit less than fucking 10,000. They tickets distributed were announced as 10,378, but Pashelka, giving a little hint to how the sausage is made, said closer to 7,500 from what he was told. So, dude, I'm afraid I'm going to lose that bet to you because they're reporting tickets distributed.
Right, because it's rigged in my favor. Just as I designed it.
Yeah, they could go to fucking Boy Scouts of America and be like, "Here's 5,000 tickets. We gave them to you. Doesn't matter if you use them. They're distributed. Bye."
Well, it's funny. So you were talking about the empty seats, and I remember fondly, as I'm sure you do. I remember fondly how it would be it could be a Tuesday in January against the frickin' Columbus Blue Jackets, and the tank was humming.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And now Saturday against Vegas, you get maybe 70% capacity.
You are correct.
I was trying, and it's funny. So in the time that I have known my wife, the Sharks have never made the playoffs in the time that I've known her. And so, like, I always tell her, I'm like, man, I wish you could have seen when the tank was buzzing, like, all this stuff.
Oh, it was amazing.
She always jokes around. She's like, I don't know that it ever was because I've never seen it.
Well, let me show you this tape of Game 7.
Right. So there's this thing. It's called Game 7.
It was amazing. And then tickets distributed versus Boston, they said was 12-5. But, dude, I swear to God, dude, half of them were Boston fans. I can't remember the last time I've seen a Sharks game where it sounded and looked as if half the building, if not more, were opposing fans. It looked like a Raiders game in Vegas.
Usually you see that kind of activity when it's like Detroit or the Blackhawks or the Rangers. I don't know that I've ever seen it for the Bruins.
Yeah, that was...
I like Ramon's comment, too, by the way. They need to distribute a ticket to me.
Well, and that was the funny thing, dude. There was some chief who came in on Sharks Facebook, the Shark fan Facebook or whatever.
Were you wearing your hazmat suit when he came in?
Of course. Got to go into the comments section. You got to be fully protected. But Chief was asking, he's like, I'm driving up from Los Banos. If anybody has a couple of tickets for free that I could use, I'd really appreciate it.
For free? Oh, my God, dude.
Well, and that was the thing, is that somebody pointed out, they're like, hey, dickhead, they're $12 right now on GameStop.
Yeah.
Like, is that really putting you out that much?
Yeah, I was going to say, the two things immediately come to mind right there. Number one, the tickets are really cheap. Like, the gas to drive is probably going to be more expensive.
Absolutely.
Number one. Number two, how arrogant are you to think that you can be like, oh, hey, like, I'm driving 3 hours to the tank, like, I should get hooked up. It's like, all right, well, watch the fucking game on TV.
I can confirm that the person who posted this, their name was not Kurt. I can confirm that.
Okay.
But Sharks tickets, dude, like, I think the average ticket price right now is like $70. Parking's $30. Couple of beers is going to run you $40. A slice or something, that's going to run you about $20. I mean, you're talking about $160 for one person. The Barracuda, dude, $13 for a ticket. You know the right place to park like I do? You're not paying for parking. Beer's only like a couple of beers will run you 30, grub maybe 12. Dude, you're paying like $55 on the night. Dude,
tickets.
Beer costs more at the tank than a CUDA ticket.
Dude, tickets to the game, the next home game, which is on November the 2nd, $11.
Whoo.
But then November the 4th, $54.
Well, it's because it's a Saturday night and it's a giveaway.
Right, exactly. And the shills are out in full force.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, or no, shill is the wrong word. The giveaway chasers are out in full force.
Yep.
Like, how many times, like, a complete tangent, but do you know how many times, like, going to Barracuda games, like, you would go to a Barracuda game and the guy who didn't know the Barracuda played in San Jose until one commercial break ago has 5 fucking Rudolph's Balsers bobbleheads, and it's like, dude, like, can you let the people who have been here every game in line, like, can you say, hey, these are the OGs, like, go ahead.
Yeah, hook them up.
Like,
to your point, dude, I will say, I like stick tap to Sonia Tydenko, who is now doing the Barracuda.
I forgot about her.
Yeah, dude, but she's
awesome.
Yeah, she's doing this hit, the Barracuda Bite, where they're actually giving the Barracuda some acknowledgement on Sharks pre and post, and during the intermission, it's like, fucking finally, where was this 5 years ago when they moved here?
Right.
Like, God, little too late on that one, but whatever. Big Bird has the answer. Homeless night at the tank. That's how you fill seats, my friend.
Jesus, come on.
Whew. Did you know that post-Teal...
Lame comment, just saying, but go ahead.
Did you know that post-Teal syndrome struck again this past week?
I believe it. It happened, dude. It's every day.
Yeah. Noah Gregor got that first goal for the Maple Leafs, a week and a half ago, whatever it was. This past week, dude, did you know that James Reimer is tied with one other guy for most shutouts in the league right now? It's one, but still, you got to start somewhere. But of course, Rhymes throws a shutout for Detroit. The other thing that'll bake your fucking noodle, dude, butter your goddamn toast.
Yep.
Who has more points in the East? Who has the most points in the East right now?
That would be the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Ryan's Detroit Red Wings. You know how much money that guy has made on them the last week?
And then on the other hand, for some teams that are maybe not playing to where they were projected, dude, Lindy Ruff benched Timo Meier.
I'm okay. I was saying the F word a lot at the start of this podcast, that being the word fraud.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the New Jersey Devils are frauds. I think the way that they, real like X's and O's kind of shit, I think is like very fraudulent. Like, look at that roster. That roster is stacked.
Yeah, dude.
Like
a fucking pancakes, bro.
You've got 3 lines of guys who can be point per game in the right situation. You've got one of the best offensive defensemen in the NHL on your team. You've got.
Tell me you don't want to have you don't want to see Timo Meier on the bench go, I'm benched. Fuck you, Lindy. You're benched.
Right. Like the Devils roster is so well constructed. And for whatever reason, the way they play is just so like fraudulent. Like it's, I don't get it. I honestly don't understand.
Well, the funny thing is, I think it was your boy Ryan, or maybe, no, I want to say maybe Drew Weber.
Sure.
Pointed out the fact that at one point during the season so far, obviously just a couple weeks in, but he's like, did you know that Zetterlund has more goals on the season than Timo Meier?
Yeah.
I'm like, holy fuck, dude.
And
Stefan Nason has more points than either of them combined.
You know what's funny about that? Since Stefan Nason went to the Hurricanes, he's put together a very solid career. Like
yeah, he has, dude. He got look with the Sharks after how long with the with the goals, right?
Well, he was in Anaheim, and then he was in New Jersey, and then Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh waived him. He had a good showing with the Sharks, and then. He found his way to the Hurricanes minor league team, completely lit it up, and then has been in the NHL with the Hurricanes the last 2 years and has been awesome. And I know the revisionists are going to say, "Oh, imagine if he was doing that here." He wouldn't be.
No.
But it's really quite interesting, I think. And going back to the New Jersey Devils, here's a spicy little meatball for you to think about.
Yeah, whip it out. I got my fork. Let's go.
It remains to be seen kind of what happens.
But it is.
But, if the New Jersey Devils, if they don't kind of, if they don't get it together, that second round pick of theirs that the Sharks own isn't going to become a first.
Oh, yeah. We need them to kick down the door.
I mean, we need him to pick it up, you know?
Need that. Yeah, we're sucking the weenie for Celebrini right now. But still. Oh, speaking of which, we're talking about shit. I know that we have a game in here. Oh, so Bruins win tonight 3-1 over the Ducks. So, okay, that continues. Whatever. Let's move a little bit more around the NHL because it has been fun. Like I said, for a hot minute there, Carlson was like, "Hey, where the fuck is Carlson?" And then all of a sudden, 4 games in, it's like, "Oh, 4 points. All right, point per game player."
He's played very well despite the fact that the Penguins have been very mid.
Yeah. So we're covering
like that loss they had last night was embarrassing.
Oh, dude. Did you pay attention by any chance to a goal from McDavid this week?
I've seen him do many things this week.
Tell me that magnets aren't in the puck and magnets aren't part of McDavid's gear. Watch this.
Is off to Cece. Poke free by Kane, and now McDavid. What a spin! The recovery, the shot to score! Connor McDavid! It's not real!
You can never really be prepared for this, but maybe he is the most. He goes down, spinorama, pops back up, and somehow that puck was loose. I mean, that's an absolute nightmare for that puck to be ahead of him when he gets up. But he attacks with so much speed, doesn't even miss a beat, and then buries it.
Now, look, we hear it a lot. That is, so sometimes the puck just finds you. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous.
I don't know.
That puck had like the Waze app open to find Connor McDavid.
It does feel that way, though, sometimes. Like, it does feel like the puck just follows him sometimes.
Now, conversely, like how fast that happened. Like, oh my God, that was amazing. Can I show you what I believe may be the slowest shootout goal ever?
Can you move any slower? Scores! All worked.
Dude, when the voiceover guys go, or the play-by-play, can he move any slower?
You know, there was a lot of crying about that goal, and I didn't get it.
I mean, he didn't break any rules.
Right. If you can't stop it, that's your fault.
Yeah, but that right there, I'm kind of like, fuck, man. I wonder if we're going to see that start to become a thing around the league where they just come in super slow. You know, obviously you can't stop. You always have to have forward momentum. But to just sit there and just 4 feet out, boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Weird as shit, dude. Another thing I wanted to bring up to you, because I feel like I got to own this. I was pretty apprehensive when the NHL moved on from the whole NBC behemoth monster that it is, and it's okay. ESPN's going to have some games, and TNT's going to have some games, and maybe there might be a game over here, or hey, look over there. There's one over there. I was like, man, it could be difficult to get the ratings if people aren't sure what platform, what station it's going to be on. And you know what? So far, ESPN NHL ratings are up big from last season. Lightning, Sabres, Avalanche, Kraken, each averaged over 500,000 viewers. Dude, despite all these many platforms, it's working. Do you think did the NHL do something right?
Well, I think, we always talk about like getting eyes on your product, right? And having maximum exposure. And I think, people want to say whatever they want to say about, about the transition to streaming and certain channels and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is the NHL, I think more now than ever, is on many different avenues, right? Like specifically for the United States, right? They have the games on ESPN and the games are on TNT, obviously. But through that, obviously, if you have the NHL package, it's on ESPN Plus or it's on Hulu.
Right.
They're starting to do games on HBO Max. So
are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit!
I don't think they're exclusives though. I think they're simulcast with TNT. But
dude, it's another platform. There's some people that have HBO Max, but they don't have Hulu. So
right. So I think, I think they're doing a really good job at putting the games in a lot of different areas for people to see it. David pointing out that they need to get rid of the blackouts. 100% agree with that.
That goes across every sport on the planet.
I also think it's really stupid, personally, that, you have the NHL package, in this case, ESPN Plus. You have the NHL package. You are led to believe that you can watch every NHL game ever, right? Mm-hmm. At least for the current season. But what you don't get is you don't get games that are on TNT. You have to watch it on TNT, which I think is obnoxious. And if a game is on Hockey Night in Canada, even though it's nationally televised only in Canada, sorry, not going to be on ESPN Plus, and NHL Network, which in my experience, the only people that have NHL Network are old people who don't know how their cable packages work.
Oh! Yikes.
You find me someone under 40 who's got the NHL Network.
that isn't a bar.
Right.
It's a sports bar.
So I think that's a bit lame. But other than that, and you know what, and you know, I know that, you know, I still fly the pirate flag as much as I can, but
Hell yeah.
for completely unrelated reasons, I have the NHL package. And so I've been using that a lot, like on my TV, on my phone. It's quite nice, you know?
There you go.
So whatever.
Yeah, I was a bit of a doubter, is this going to work? So far, it seems to be working really well. So, hey, you know, hashtag grow the game.
Well, and also, like, we talked a lot about low bars.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, we've talked about how much we like TNT. ESPN, I think, has done a shit job of producing the NHL since they've gotten the rights back. I still think they do a better job than NBC does. So the bar is extremely low, and they've cleared it.
I also wonder, maybe are the numbers up because they couldn't shut the fuck up about Bedard? And
possible.
And this was something that was on the fan mailbag this week. It's like, is there such a thing as too much media attention? Because, you know, it's Bedard. It's becoming Bedarded, if you understand what I'm saying. But the response here is, has anyone ever said LeBron James gets too much attention and it's bad for him? No. And I'm like, sir, I respectfully disagree. I'm totally sick of LeBron James. Then he said the same with Tom Brady. And I'm like, yeah, I fucking hate that guy too, because it was Brady. Oh my God. No, you can overexpose people, and you get it to the point where people start actively rooting for them to lose, to suck, for whatever.
So let me ask you a question. Let me because obviously we are not the NHL. So let me put it on a micro level.
Butter my toast, baby.
So, and I'm just I'll just say it like this. Imagine after tonight's show, you get a DM from, you know, Guy Viewer who watched our show tonight, and he says, hey, you know what? I don't like your show anymore. I'm going to stop watching. What's your immediate reaction?
I mean, watch what
probably.
You want to watch.
I mean, if it were me, I wouldn't even reply.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But if I was asked for a reply, I'd be like, hey, that's fine. Plenty of other shows for you to, we're not for everybody.
Right. So,
or I could be a smartass and go, wait, when did we allow you to start watching? You're not allowed to.
But in other words, it's okay, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if Guy Viewerson watches our show and sends a DM to you and says, hey, I never heard about you guys before tonight, but I watched and I fucking love it.
Yeah, best podcast ever.
Like, are you not going to be like, hey, hell yeah, like, I love that. I love feeling that way, right?
No, it's just, appreciate appreciate it.
But it feels, the feeling of gaining a new listener is stronger than the feeling of losing a listener. And
okay, what the hell is your point?
My point is that from the NHL, if you lose fans, doesn't really matter as much as gaining new fans. And the way that you gain new fans is you expose them to these players like McDavid, Crosby, Bedard, who are completely like on another planet when it comes to their skill level. And you say, hey, you should like our sport because this player is so fucking good at what they do.
And I think there's a better way to go about it.
Which I don't disagree with you on that, but I mean,
what was the opening game?
Chicago-Pittsburgh.
No. There was one before that. It was Tampa and somebody.
Tampa
Nashville?
and yes, Tampa, Nashville.
Yeah. And I'm like, here's Tampa and Nashville. Here's a team that won back-to-back cups just a couple years ago.
Here's a team that is fucking terrible. Watch them get beat up on.
But the fact of the matter is, Vasilevsky, you can talk about that, but it was just like, it was fucking just Bedard. And it's like, are they not playing in 2 hours? Like, save it.
Right.
Anyway, that's just me, but whatever. Hey, let's get to our tweet of the week. Which I think this season might just turn into the Fanatics
Ooh.
fuck up of the week.
Yikes.
Yeah, so Abby here tweets out, this is going to be who's taking over for the NHL, and it's, a shirt, looks like a Henley shirt, but they applied the Minnesota Wild logo upside down. It looks like a fucking Christmas tree upside down, to be fair.
That's unbelievable.
No, it really isn't. This is,
right.
This is Fanatics. This is, and you see it, at Fanatics Sucks on Twitter. It's a daily fucking occurrence. And the fact that, oh my God, who's the guy who owns the Hockey News or whatever? Graham something. The fact that this cat wrote a whole slobber that when it was announced that Fanatics was going to be doing the on ice jersey, he wrote a whole love letter about Fanatics. It's like, oh, I know people point out that they're, every once in a while they do something, they churn out something, but that's only like 1% of what am I going, how? Like I've never heard about this until Fanatics. You didn't hear about this with Starter, Pro Player, Reebok, Adidas, nothing.
CCM.
There's Ryan, you demand, dude. Great. I'm never gonna fucking be
Graham.
able to. Okay, but this chief wrote, go Google this guy. Google his name and then put Fanatics next to it.
Well,
it's a fucking love letter.
With Fanatics getting the NHL contract, they probably went to this guy who, as you said, he runs the Hockey News or whatever.
Yeah.
And they probably said, hey, you know what? Like, we got the NHL contract. Like, we're going to be like quasi partners. Like, do you want to write a little ditty about us and we'll give you, 20% off plus free shipping and, like.
I don't know. Just the love letter was so full of shit where it's just like, any business that churns out product, apparel, whatever, 1% of it, there's going to be problems with it. Yeah, that's fine. Does that, like, I used to, work for a record company and we would get in boxes of vinyl records, and every time we were shipping out, whether we shipped out 20 of them to a store, if we shipped out one to a subscriber, we literally looked at every one that we put in. Are the labels correct? Is it
the correct item?
Yeah, like as soon as it came in, we would sit there, magnifying glass, everything written correctly. Okay, yep, labels are on the right sides. Everything's perfect about it. These fucking guys, it's like, oh, somebody ordered an LA Kings shirt, T-shirt, and then some person in the warehouse who doesn't know fuck all, doesn't care, grabs a Sacramento Kings polo and sends it off. And it's like,
said Kings.
Yeah, it said Kings and they said shirt. There's a difference between a T-shirt and a polo? Didn't know. Oh, well. They both wear fucking...
It's got short sleeves.
Yeah, it's got short sleeves and they both wear purple. Sue me. Whatever. All right. Let's get the fuck out of here. But wait.
Ooh, Barracuda.
All right, the CUDA played a pair against Henderson this week. They lost 2 games by 1 goal. They're now 1-2-1. Ryan Carpenter is your CUDA point leader with 6. Ozzy Weisblatt will serve the final game of a 3-game suspension after the CUDA host Henderson yet again, 3rd time in a row, this Wednesday at Tech CU before playing 2 against Coachella Valley next weekend. And there you go. But speaking of the Barracuda, Ian Reed did speak for an hour this past Wednesday, so make sure you go check that out on the YouTube channel. I know he's working to get Nick Nolenberger in there because sometimes they're just weird scheduling quirks. Shit happens. What are you going to do? Prize time, baby. So what was the what was it? It was how many penalties?
It says how many, or I guess a better way to phrase the question, I mean, yes, it's how many penalties will the Sharks draw, but it's essentially how many power plays will they have when you think about it.
If that works for you, absolutely.
I mean, it means the same thing, does it not?
Yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen in the other.
Tornado potato.
Yeah. So how many penalties or how many power plays, whatever. So, Jerk informed me that we had 2 people that got close. Did they go over or were they under?
All right, so I'll give you a whole spiel.
What? Yeah. Well, and tell me first off, what was the final number?
So in the game against Carolina, the Sharks had 6 power plays. In the game against Boston, they had 3 power plays. In the game against the Predators, they had 2 power plays. And if you keep score at home,
12?
That's 11.
I thought it was 12. What'd you say?
2, 3, and 6. That's
2,
11.
3, and 6. My bad. Okay, go
No,
ahead.
you're okay. 11 total power plays. And looking at my little scratch paper here, we had 2 people who came in and they said 10.5.
Oh, because we did throw in the half.
Yeah. And initially, because there was somebody who said 12. And so initially I'm like, all right, this is our guy. And then I'm like, wait a minute. We had 2 people who said 10.5. Hold on a second. Hold the phone. So
10.5 is closer to 11 than 12.
That is correct information. So I'm not going to, I don't want to dox anybody here, but a person whose email is the Grease.
Hold on. Are we like what you put bacon in or like the country?
Like what you put bacon in. They're the Grease. I don't want to dox them, but the Grease and where's the other one? Where did it go? Oh, and CL. Again, we're not doxing people here.
Sure.
The Grease and CL are our winners. They both said 10.5 penalties.
Okay. Are any of these people in the chat? If you are, like, throw up, an emoji that is like, hey, party, whatever.
So CL is a name I recognize. They played in a handful of the giveaways last year. And
did they win?
Let me check. I know CL has played last year.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Wow, what up, dude?
It's funny. So obviously the Grease, that's not something that I initially recognized, but this person's government name does look familiar to me.
All right.
I don't know from where, maybe from Twitter. I'm not totally sure. But yeah, and then like I said, but they might be a first time player, or if they're not, maybe they played under a different name. But I know CL played a bunch last year. I believe CL played in every contest last year. They didn't win any of them, but they played in every contest we did last year. So
so they didn't win last year, but they won now.
Yeah, I mean, we did. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did 6 contests last year. CL played in all of them and lost all of them. So,
how many entries did we have in this week?
We had 18 entries.
18. That's
no.
it?
I'm sorry. 17.
Oh, gee, that's even worse. All right. So, there you go. All right. So we got a couple winners. So, like I said, that was the first one of the show. So CL and the Grease.
I have the Grease's address and information already. Still waiting on CL's.
Okay. So hopefully that will ship this week. Might have to wait until Friday, just to let you know. I do have a life and a day job.
Oh, you know what? I'm just looking back now. The Grease, they played in Lunchbox 2.0 last year.
But lost.
By quite a bit.
Well, hey, they got the lunchbox now, motherfucker. So I said it last week for this to open the season that we had Hurdle Bobbles.
The prize pack, right?
Yeah, Hurdle Bobbles, Sharks Lunchbox, Uprising Jersey, but for last week's show, the 2 people that just won, the Grease and CL, they were going to get all 3. This is going to be the hat trick prize pack.
Sure.
So that'll be going out this week to both of you. Congratulations. But it's time then to ask another question.
Ask it.
We're not going to, I don't know that we're going to do overs and unders and halves. I thought that was just something funny to do for the opening one.
Sure.
So we got 4 games this week, right?
Let's see. Let's take a little look-see here. Tuesday, Florida. Thursday, Tampa Bay. Friday, October 27th against Carolina. And there's a game on Sunday. Who the fuck rigged that? All
Dude. And
so yes, 4.
Okay, and then to be fair, This is something I just want
It's
to
at 2:00. That's juicy.
do at the same time that the Niners are playing.
Oh, why?
Exactly. So I'm just putting this out there now for the people that do come on, and join us every Sunday regularly. Of course, we totally appreciate you. Tell a friend. Usually when games are played on Sundays, we come on and take over the whole After Dark thing. We come on as soon as the game is over. Now, because Jerk and I watch Niners football along with Sharks hockey, things may change next week. We may not come on right after the end of the Sharks game. We may just adhere to our 7:00 schedule next week.
Yeah, because the game, like if you overestimate, the game's going to be over at 5 p.m.
Both of them.
Correct.
Yeah. And so I'm just saying right now, chances are next week, we're probably going to be on at our normal 7:00 time. So for those who enjoy After Dark, when they go on, immediately following the game, you know what? If you like surprises, keep an eye on our YouTube, subscribe. You'll find out next Sunday whether we're on at the end of the game or we're on at 7.
And keep an eye on the Teal Town Twitter too. We'll probably throw out a little ditty about when we're going to go on, just depending on what happens.
Yeah, there will be a decision made at some point. All right. So and then the next game is Tuesday, right?
Yeah, so it's Tuesday, Florida.
Oh, and it's the Frozen Frenzy, right? So they start at like 4:45 or something weird.
Yeah, 4:45 Pacific, which, whatever.
Yeah. I like the idea, but... All right, so the question this week, 4 games.
Yes.
4 games, people. What will be the combined... Whoever's in whether it's Blackwood or Kakinen, after 4 games, what will be the combined save percentage?
Ooh, Jesus.
Dude,
that's a good one, though, because that one forces you to, use your noodle.
Dig in the weeds, use your noodle, and I'm going to preface it again. This is one of those ones where it's the closest without going over.
Closest with that. Okay.
So there you go.
Worth mentioning as well, I think you'll agree with me here. If, let's just say, we're throwing it, just being hypothetical here. If, say, at the conclusion of those 4 games, say it's like, okay, game 1, Kakinen, whatever. Game 2, Blackwood, whatever. Game 3, Kakinen, whatever. And then you get to game 4. If it's a situation where Blackwood gets pumped and he's got like a 5.35 save percentage, and then Kakinen comes in and doesn't allow a goal for the rest of the time, and it's a 1.00, both of those numbers are going to be averaged out to get the game 4 save percentage. I just want to make it clear.
Yeah.
So not that that's going to matter to anybody who's playing, because they'll have already long guessed.
Mm-hmm. And I just for the people, Ryan Teal, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Faulty Synapse, don't enter here. Let me explain. I appreciate you. Don't enter here. Email hockey
or
jerk.
Twitter.
I'm sorry?
Or Twitter.
Oh yeah. You can hit them up on the DMs or not on DMs, whichever way you want to enter is fine. If you want to show your work to everybody else, but normally the way to get in on this, email hockeyjerk, it's all one word, hockeyjerk10@gmail.com with your answer. They have to be submitted by 4 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, October 17th.
October 24th.
My bad. October 24th. I have some shit from last week still written down. So October 24th. Again, we'll announce the winner next Sunday at some point.
I already got 1 save percentage.
Nice. And now there will be times where we will have multiple winners again. Again, we have a lot of bobbleheads, a lot of lunch boxes, and definitely a lot of jerseys. So, and I'm not even sure what we're going to be giving out the next weekend. The
mystery box. It could be anything.
Yeah, you got to.
It could. Just
I'm
be the
walking
box,
into the prize. the prize closet right now. Let's see what we pull out. But yeah, we're not sure. But anyway, when we get close, I would say, you know what, maybe like the 3 Sundays between, because I think don't we have like a ridiculous amount of takeovers in December?
Yeah, in December, where is it here?
It's so stupid. Like 4 out of 5, right?
In December, there are 4 Sundays. 4 out of 5 Sundays are takeovers.
Fucking shoot me now. All right. But, we're feeling froggy. We're feeling in the festival, the Festivus, the mood, the giveaway people, Santa, whatever. So in December, those shows that we do that are takeovers, those we will probably also do the hat trick prize pack where you get all 3 for the month of December. But
I mean, and one of those Sunday games is on December 31st. So maybe it might be a situation where, and we're just spitballing here.
Sure.
It might be a situation where it's like, hey, you know what? New year, new collection of bullshit. Here are 10 things I don't want anymore. Here you go.
Oh, I like that.
And it might be something that, like, honestly, like I'm taking a look right over now at my bookshelf. I have a light up bracelet with dead batteries from the 2019 playoff run. That might find its way in there.
Was it there at Game 7? Oh, who needs a wank?
So, yeah, it's funny. I feel like I've been saying for probably close to a year now, I want to go through some of my stuff and try and offload some shit. Maybe, it'll have to be prearranged. There might need to be some kind of something, but I don't want to speak for AJ, but maybe on my end, there might be a spicy little prize that could find its way there.
Hey, now. And I should note that I mentioned earlier that Weisblatt's suspension, I guess, was going to conclude this week. Lacey said it already concluded. So there you go. So hopefully we'll see Ozzy back this Wednesday. So there you go. Total save percentage combined, 4 games, whoever's in, Blackwood, Kakinen, doesn't matter.
Both.
Yeah, well, all combined. Fuck, if McIniemi gets called, whoever. But like I said, best bet, email hockeyjerk10@gmail.com, or you can hit them up at hockey_jerk on the Twitter.
Already got 3 entries. This is fun.
And again, 4 p.m. Pacific, Tuesday, October 4th. That's when they have to be in. That's the latest. 3:59, absolutely. 4:01, fuck you.
And this thought, this thought crossed my mind last week when I was collecting entries. If you and I say this with 100% confidence, if you send me a pick, you are in. It counts. So if, say, you send me something and maybe I don't hit you back that I received it, don't worry. If you send it to me, I got it.
We got you, boo. Let's get to the bets before we get out of here, bro.
Hey, so I just got a DM. I'm gonna be a little fun here.
Uh-oh.
1 thumbs up in the chat, and I'll give Ramon Garcia the Discord link.
Nice.
I'm just kidding, Ramon. It's coming your way.
So, if it, as you may well know, the Jerk Man happens to live in the city of sin, the one that you can see from space because it's so well lit with all that neon. He loves himself the occasional bet.
Occasional, that's being nice.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be cool, but all right. So coming into the season, Jerk owed me a crispy fin because EK got traded. Then, huh?
I said, yep.
Yeah. Okay. And then coming into this week, it was Cunnin. And I should also say, I haven't seen Jules. I haven't seen her in the chat all night. But last week, you bet me a fin that Cunnin would have a goal this week. And Jules.
I believe I said he had a point, but fair point.
Well, I have it written down goal.
Okay.
But either way, he didn't have either. So it doesn't fucking matter. But the fact that Jules came in and said, "Oh, you're going to lose, AJ," guess what?
Jules has my back. Jules is awesome. She's always got my back.
All right, so we're up to $10 total right now.
Hey, you know what, dude? It's week 3.
Oh yeah, of course. No, you can totally get this back.
When it's the end of the season and I'm losing and I bet you everything I owe you that that Mike Hoffman is going to take a phantom high sticking penalty and it hits, you're gonna really know what's hit you.
Oh hell yeah, dude. Then the other bet. Okay, so we can take the Cunnin bet off the board. That's done.
Unfortunately.
So yeah, we're gonna take that. So right now, total to AJ $10. But I'm feeling really good about the other one so far, dude. Would they put the O in October by going winless in 9 games through Halloween? You set the over-under at 2.5 games, that they would win more than 2.5 games. At this point, do you think they'll get more than 2.5 points?
Let me take a little gander at who we're playing. Florida,
the Florida
Tampa.
teams, Carolina, the team that just whacks your ass.
Yeah, Washington. Okay,
Washington. There's the one that you might pull those 2 points.
I think that here's the thing. I'll get a little spicy with you. Let's call it right here. Sharks, and you're gonna bust your ass laughing.
Oh,
Sharks are gonna go 3-1 this week. Because let me tell you why. Let me explain something to you. Florida, law of averages. I'm hammering law of averages. Law of averages says they'll probably get a win. Florida is also struggling lately, right? Tampa Bay, they're obviously still a very good team. They score a lot of goals. Guess what? Vasilevsky is hurt probably until New Year's Day. Get to them early. Score goals. Everybody on the Sharks is in a slump except for Hurdle. It would be real nice for a lot of those to get busted. Carolina, I have no thoughts on it. Washington Capitals, frauds. Beat them.
All right.
There you
go. I'm still trying to compute this. Hold on. Best fucking place in the world just added a comment in the chat. Augie's Montreal Deli. Gonna be a long, tough season. Gonna have to enjoy the process of watching the rebuild. And you know the best way to enjoy that is having yourself some Canadian smoked meat, baby, from Augie's. And again, shout out, no free ads, but goddamn, they make the best fucking sandwiches.
I think for Augie's, I think a free ad is absolutely okay.
Yeah. I'll say, you know what, August, we don't have any sponsor thing happening right now, but say, hey, shout out, August, just saying, you want to throw me a free sandwich the next time I'm at the tank? I'm not going to turn it down. A little coffee crisp, a little Smarties. Yeah, I roll that way. So you're saying literally the Sharks are going to go 3-1.
Correct.
This week. Do you want to put a spicy?
No. I don't want to put any scratch on it. I just want to put it out there and say, I don't want to put any scratch on it. I just want to say, hey, this is something that I'm thinking about.
I smell a parlay.
So if I'm right, then I don't win anything, and except for just hey, you were right randomly.
You get your 14 points.
And if I'm wrong, then you can say, dude, are you an idiot? Everybody knew that wasn't going to happen.
All right. So, but I'm feeling really good about that. Could be $15 next week. Hell, it could be 15 by the next 2 games. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No shit, huh?
Yeah. So, the other thing, but here's the bet that I feel like I'm going to get hosed on is that attendance thing. But that's something that we have to wait until the end of the season.
Yeah, but that one is also that one's rigged in my favor.
It is rigged in your favor, but I don't know if you've looked at the schedule, bro. That game on Tuesday, November 14th against Florida, that could be the one, dude. Or Tuesday against Winnipeg in December. Dude, I'm feeling good about both of those games. I think the Winnipeg one might hit. When was the last time you saw a bunch of Jets fans at the tank? Just saying.
Shit. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, coming up this week, the Sharks are going to finish up this 5-game road trip. As Jerk just mentioned, games against Florida, Tampa, Carolina, and Washington. Again, you'll have to stay tuned to find out what the hell, it's just going to be a surprise next Sunday as to what happens. But that's why you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. And there you go. So on Twitter, you can follow him at hockey_jerk. Hit me up at AJ_. You know what? Don't. I get enough followers. I don't need any more followers on Twitter. Just follow at Tealtown USA hockey_jerk. I don't need any more fucking friends, to be honest. I don't care. I don't care about social media anymore. But remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do that to support everybody else that's here. Whether, Ian, the Erics, Jewels, Dana, the whole crew. Just do that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And again, leave your take in the comment section of this video if you weren't able to join us live. Again, usually here every Sunday, 7 o'clock. And you can find links to our social media, the podcast apps, and more included in the show notes. Find everything on tealtownusa.com. Again, you want the VIP Discord invite. You want to get behind that velvet rope. You hit up hockey_jerk on the Twitter machine. And always remember to check out After Dark that follows every single Sharks game this season. So, last looks, man. I mean, how bad can it get? Because last I looked, all right, through 82 games, or the pace right now, through 5 games, 0-4-1. That's 1 point. Dude, they're on a pace right now through 82 games to get 20 points.
Hammer the over.
Is it an option? Can you hook me up with that? Show me the betting app that will, let me hammer the over.
When the Tealtown Sportsbook opens, it'll be minus 20,000.
Dude, last year they lost 36 games in which they had a lead 14 times when leading in the third. This season, the Sharks have lost both games in which they led, and that lead was in the third both times. Their goals 4 in the first, 3 goals against 5, goals 4 in the second period, 2 goals against in the second, 6. Goals 4 in the third period, 2 goals against in the third, 8. I mean, it just gets worse as the games go on, man. It's all right. So, what are you looking for this week? Like a point
For the Sharks?
Sure.
I already told you, dude. 3-1.
Okay, 3-1. There you go. Anything else to share?
I mean, being that they are the only winless team remaining, I would like them to win. I kind of think that goes without saying. But some of these guys who, either the guys who are expected to be part of the team long term, or the guys that we're expecting to trade away in about 5 months, I'd like to see them get going.
Oh God, wouldn't that be great? Can we increase the trade value just a little bit, please?
Yeah, and for those who maybe kept track, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. The picks that I made last week at the end of the podcast, I said for gambling picks, I picked 3 guys who I thought were going to get their first goal on Monday's game.
How'd that work?
Only one of them got it.
There you go.
But I think the fact that it wasn't 0, I think is cool.
That's a win. Take it.
Yeah. So, only one game tomorrow, Montreal and Buffalo.
Dude, here's your time. This is Jerk's betting corner. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, if you're looking for something on the Montreal Canadiens side to throw some scratch on, I would say Nick Suzuki to get a goal, I think, is probably a good shout. It's going to be his 5th game of the season. He's got none yet so far. I think, if you wanted to throw some scratch, $5, $10, whatever, on Nick Suzuki to get a goal, that'll probably pay out. Let's see, actually, I can tell you what that'll pay out right now. And, this would be a net number, your net payout, right? Right now, Nick Suzuki to get a goal, you throw $5 on him to get a goal, that's a net payout of $10, so 15 total, all said and done. Not a bad shout if you want to make some quick scratch. And then on the Buffalo Sabres side of things, Tage Thompson has been absolutely flinging the puck towards the net, absolutely flinging it. He's just some really quick math.
If you follow Jerk on Twitter, I do believe Tage Thompson was tweeted in all caps.
Yeah, because Tage Thompson helped me win a lot of money this week. But Tage Thompson has been absolutely flinging the puck. He's averaging 4 shots on goal a game, which if you throw some $5 on that specifically, because he's done it, you're not going to get as big of a return. You'd be looking at, a $5 bet would return you net $4.10, gross $9.10. But
gross.
But if you're kind of a big spender, you throw 50 on there, all of a sudden that's a $40 return. So that's something to think about. That said, he is averaging 4 shots a game. I don't think he's going to hit 4 shots a game consistently like he has been. So that's something that you can keep an eye on, but I don't know that I would throw a whole lot of money on there just because eventually things are kind of going to go sideways there. So Buffalo, it's a bit of a mixed bag. You could say Alex Tuch, first goal of the season. I think that would be a good shout as well. And that's going to be a similar payout to the Nick Suzuki one, a little bit less, but similar. So you got some guys who are known for scoring goals that don't have any yet. Something to think about.
And something I'm going to be thinking about this week, that maybe we need to get a bet in between us that might this be the season that the Sharks set a franchise record for least amount of points. You got Augies in there saying 20 wins tops. For those of you who are...
No, I think they're saying 20 points tops.
No. Because Ryan said I think they'll win about 22 games this season.
Oh, okay.
Augie's saying 20 tops. Dude, last I looked, that's 40 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you're going to throw in a couple OTs here, OT losses here and there. I mean, they picked up one against Colorado already for their singular point that they have on the season. Right. So, yeah. Dude, I don't know what the lowest point total is that the Sharks have ever had, but they might hit it this year. And it would be so Sharks for them to finish in the basement by like 8, 10, 12 points and still get screwed on the lottery and miss out and end up drafting third. That would be so Sharks, dude. But I digress.
It would be.
Anything else before we say goodbye to the people?
I don't think so. Thank you for watching and listening as always.
Yes. Thank you very much. Again, hit the subscribe button. Congratulations to the Grease. I love that name. The Grease and CL, you say?
Yep.
Congrats, and an early congrats to whoever wins next week, I suppose. So
yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this yet another fun Sunday night. Remember, next week we're going to be expecting all of you to show up in the chat wearing some sort of a costume. Just letting you know, we may have to judge. We may have people submitting photos on Twitter during the show. We don't know. Again, the show always evolves. It's whatever whim we come up with. Oh, look who fucking showed up. Sharks Jules. Jules, the woman who said that I would lose the cunning bet that I just won, shows up at the very fucking end. How's it going, baby? All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us this Sunday night. And remember, After Dark will be here for you following... What's the first game? At Florida, Tuesday. Oh, and remember, Frozen Frenzy. So set your watches accordingly. Good night, everybody.